Hey YouTube, it's Grant. I wanted to go over a couple things I've been up to. So I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and I paint the miniatures. So over the last 2 weeks, I've just started getting into painting Magic cards, especially my Commander cards, just because I think they're cool to have like full art versions, and it's pretty simple to do. So I kind of want to show you some of the things I did here. So this was the first card I did, Brown Stout Arm, and I wanted to show you how like off the lines I was. You can see I kind of painted over the lines, and on one side of it, it's got like painted over, the other side isn't. And then I learned a couple techniques to not do that. Pretty simple stuff. It's like taping windows in a house, but here's some of the cards I did, and you'll notice a theme of a lot of them being older cards. The easier the art. You'll also notice that a lot of these cards, the outside border is just a solid color, and then maybe a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And then this is just something I did for my friend's daughter. She loves, Doctor Who, so I thought it'd be fun to give her a command tower with the TARDIS. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to talk about how I do it. A couple tips. So if you wanted to get started doing this, it's actually really, really simple. Um, all you really need is some Scotch tape. Like I said, you can tape over this part and wherever you don't want to paint on. And then as soon as you're done painting, just rip the tape off and then you won't have painted there. Usually I try to make it look nice by like taking the X-Acto knife and going over exactly the shapes so I can keep the little thing on the bottom or whatever, or the little 4-4. Um, and then the other thing you'll obviously need besides tape is one of these X-Acto knives and some blades. And then some paintbrushes. You can get these for like $3 at Walmart, and they've got tiny little brushes in them and backup brushes. These are like 85 cents also at Walmart. These are nice, and then you can rinse them out and reuse them as well. And then, so let me see, we got the tape, we got the brushes, we got the knife. The only other thing we need is the paint, and I use these. So let me pull this up a little bit. So yeah, this is the Army Painter Mega Paint Set. This is my miniature paints. And what's really cool about these, besides having every color, and I blend them too, is that their pigment is so fine that you can paint a very like thin layer of paint over them and it'll have a rich color instead of having like to thick glop it on. So your cards actually stay pretty thin still. They stay pretty relatively close to the actual thickness. I know I'm showing you one that's in a sleeve, but I'll take one out. So it's in a double sleeve, but it's still, still just like a regular Magic card. Maybe a tiny bit thicker, but yeah, it's kind of cool. Like if you were to use acrylic paints, which I would not recommend, you'd have to like kind of glop it on, and you could still do it, but it would just be a little bit thicker. So if you do get started with this, get yourself some paints. They sell smaller paint sets. Get yourself some cheap brushes. I would practice on unexpensive cards. I'd also look for cards that are older. And I'll show you an example of what I mean by older cards. So this is a newer card, but it's a reprint of an older card. So a lot of the older art is actual paintings. Nowadays they do more CGI art. So these types of cards are good to paint because they have generally just a color on the background. So you're just doing a lot of blending. Or if they do, it'll be just some mostly dark, and then you'll paint some like blue with like, gray going around these things and just kind of filling it in. Nothing too hard. As we get into modern era cards, you're going to see cards like this, where it's just tons of detail and you don't want to mess it up and you don't want to spend, the first 3 or 4 hours and it's looking good, then you just start to lose it and it spirals out and then it just starts to look bad and you're like, man, I just spent 6 hours on something that doesn't look good. So I recommend practicing with the older cards with solid colors. Stay away from something like this where it looks simple enough at first glance, but then you recognize all the like the details and then the building behind her. In the bottom, simple enough. You could do like dark colors through here, and of course just like put little figures in. But yeah, this would be difficult. This would take a long time unless you know what you're doing and you've practiced it. So, just I wouldn't go above anything like this. You have some shadows, some colors. You're gonna have to put in a wrist, but other than that, it's pretty simple. And ideally, you'd find something like this or like this. Okay, so I think that's about it. If you guys get into it, though, you should set up a Instagram or Twitter. Put a comment down below, and if you have one already, put a comment down below. As soon as I started doing this on my Instagram and Twitter, I got like 30 followers in just a week of doing this. And most of those people that followed me, they also do it as well. So I've been checking out their art. They've been checking out mine. Yeah, it's cool, and you see what one of the kind of cool cards to paint, and also they look really good when you're playing EDH and you pull out one of your cards and your friends like, dude, that's so awesome, and also makes good gifts. So that's been nice to give to my friends. It's something that's inexpensive for me, but they really love it. So, all right, guys, have a good one. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'll keep making them, generally around nerd content. So, thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day, guys.